This is the Sacred Rose Temple, and I am your host, Collette Corcoran. I was writing the first module of my next up and coming big container of work with Magick, and I was pondering on the first module, which is about the Magi, or what we might call the magician in the archetypal world. And doing research into this area as I gather the materials for dealing with the magic aspects is always enlightening for me. And particularly with things that I kind of really know, but have not really gone into deep study of. And the magician archetype and the magi in the feminine is something that I have encountered all my life. As a small child, I was obsessed with um, crystal balls and the fortune teller, and I think it got more advanced as I aged, with like Doctor Strange coming out and films that portray the magician in a much more detailed way. And when I started to embroil myself within the Jungian psychology, I realized that I held a lot of the qualities of the magician archetype in both shadow and light. And why I'd always been drawn to hold ritual and ceremony lies deep within the Magi as a woman. I have always had, I believe, combined with my OCD, some real deep tendencies to hold ritual and ceremony and to do things repeatedly over and over, like light candles and incense and get up and meditate or do a sacred practice. This has allowed me to be a devotional being, which I feel I've been since very young in the kind of spiritual realm. I would set an altar, or I would light a candle, or I would speak to the beings, or whatever. I would do this in a ritualistic way. And by that I mean regularly, and that I knew that I was doing something that was sacred and was connecting me to the other, something other than this world. I still do it now, and it's something I have, like I've said, done for many years, is to hold ritual and ceremony. I like to think that ritual and ceremony are fundamental aspects of my own being. And I always ask people that come into my containers and work, like, what are your rituals? What ceremonies do you celebrate? And we can look at that in a more modern view to think about things like Christmas and Easter. These are ceremonies that we all uphold, but the majority of people quite unconsciously hold ceremonies within themselves and their psyche that have been printed upon them from, say, Christianity. When Christianity came, it put Christmas in place and Easter, and people follow them, even though they might not be religious. So I really like to work with people and ask them to create their own ceremonies that they do yearly and that they resonate with and that they like. And it doesn't need to be strictly anything. My own ceremonies are a mixture of my whole ancestry: Christian, Druid, Celtic, even very ancient pagan ceremonies. And I like to mix them all up. I have a clear definition of what those are. And so really ask you all to do the same in that way, is to just say to yourself, what ceremonies do I hold, and what rituals do I do on those ceremonial days? So I share them with you on my page as to how I might bless the house, or that I might light the fire, or that I might bring evergreen into the house. Each ceremony for me has a different set of rituals. Why do I like doing that? Well, I like doing that because it gives me a real deep sense of magic and connection and something to look forward to. And we don't have enough of those days that we can look forward to. We're going to celebrate, we're going to rejoice, we're going to revel in this day and do some things that we wouldn't normally do. And I absolutely adore that. And my family do too. They're always waiting for the next thing. What's next? Is it a moon? Is it a solstice? What's mum going to make us do in the house? And the people in my home really like to get involved with my ritual and my ceremony. So it was something that I wanted to really highlight when we go into the Magi on the womb magic. We're going to go into that a little more. We're going to look at what every kind of month is going to have a ceremony and a ritual in it so that we become used to doing that. It is said that we're in a patriarchal crisis because ceremony and ritual has gone. And it was something that the feminine really did in our world. They held the ceremony, they held the ritual, and the men got involved with it as a way of connecting to the divine, to the other realms, to the whatever you want to call it. So I think it's super important. And the Magi is a woman who tapped into a source that frees the world from chaos. When she conducts these rituals, when she takes part in these ceremonies, she's actually bringing order back into her community and to her world. So I really wanted to share that with you, those of you who are sat thinking, like, I want to do this with magic, but what does that entail? I'm looking in this in a really authentic and real way, in that we're looking at magic as something that is God given to us. Every person holds the ability to be able to touch magic. We just need training how to do that, and we actually need to make it a devotional practice. The magician knows that it cannot develop as a person, as an archetype within somebody's body, without giving energy, time, money, and commitment. That's part of the basic understanding of a magi, that they've got to commit, they've got to train, they've got to put the time in and the money in order to receive. And that's a lesson I had quite deep in my own work. Realized that actually, until I started committing to deeper bodies of work, paying for them, giving them the time and the devotion, that I actually wasn't transforming or holding the magic that I knew I had inside. So that was a big revelation and something that moved me more into, the magic of life. I'm going to be quite honest. It held me into a really deep magic space. So I want you to consider that, how much do you allow for magic in your life? Are you opening up the space and time to be able to do that? And committing to a body of work that you have to pay for and training. When the Magi comes active within the psyche, it also begins to know that it has a role as a student, but also as a teacher. And that's what I love about the Magi. It takes other Magis in training and provides them with the initiations that they went through. And that's the idea behind this scheme of work that I'm doing, is that I'm writing this to teach people, and then hopefully in turn they will then teach people. And so the workbooks are changeable and usable with people that you want to work with the magician's energy and the Magi's power. So I hope that people do come and feel the call of the commitment, of the energetic commitment, of the financial commitment, and know that life doesn't move without those things. So I'm committing to the magic. I am devotionally writing these resources and the transmissions, and be working with you one to one in the groups to bring some more depth. So I really hope that you step in and realize that the womb is magic, and that the magi is one part of stepping into the role of a womb magical woman. Bye for now.